Hi, I'm Lauren O'Connell, and you are on Reviewtopia. And you may never leave.
With almost 23,000 subscribers on YouTube, 2 albums under her belt, and a third on the way, at only 22 years of age, Lauren O'Connell's name is one I think people should be very, very familiar with. I had the distinct pleasure of talking to her this week, and for my first interview, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you have a lot of fun watching it. If you're not that acquainted with her or her work, sit down and together, let's get to know Lauren O'Connell.
Making a grab at every single chance. There are plenty around here.
You created your YouTube channel back in 2007 and uploaded your first video 3 years ago. What were your expectations or motivations for launching the channel?
Yeah, my friend Julia Nunes and I, we went to high school together, and we went off to college and wanted to be able to play our new songs for each other and our other musician friends, but we didn't want to put them on Facebook where like everyone we went to high school with was checking them out. So we made YouTube accounts because nobody looks at music on YouTube, right? So we were just uploading them just exclusively for our friends. And then they started to get hits. Julia's did first. And then it just kind of turned into something very unexpected.
Yeah, because something I was kind of curious about was, if you look at the URLs of both of you and Julia's YouTube channels, if you wanted to get discovered, you would have just made it youtube.com/Lauren O'Connell or Julia Nunes, but both of your URLs are kind of obscure.
Yeah. Oh, great regret. Yeah, we just made them for fun. If Julia wanted people to be able to remember her channel, she never would have made it Jaw with 7 A's. It was just kind of silly. Like, my MySpace URL is actually incredibly embarrassing as well because I made it before I was recording music. So, yeah, it's unplanned entirely.
What are just some traits you look for or admire in other musicians?
I listen to songwriting above everything else, I guess. Everything else matters too, but I am most impressed by people who can make something really special out of really simple elements, and don't need gimmicks. Just really strong, concise songwriting. I've been listening to Gillian Welch a lot recently. I think she's a great example of just really solid songwriting, and you could do more with those songs if you wanted to, but they stand alone and they're beautiful and moving. Jeff Tweedy does a lot of that. Simplicity and concision.
I see you play a lot of instruments in your music videos. What all instruments do you know how to play, and what made you want to learn your first one?
Okay, guitar is the only thing I will confidently say that I play. I kind of dabble on a bunch of other things. I dabble on piano and drums and bass and things like that. But I started playing guitar when I was 13, I think. And my dad had an old guitar that he didn't know how to play, and I kind of found it and got interested in it. And frankly, I wasn't good at sports, so I wanted to find something I was good at. I didn't have like a huge moment of inspiration. It just kind of developed.
When this man said he was in love with me, and I thought that he was dumb to be, so I pretended that I was asleep, called it free will, what he willed to believe. And it ended, so I guess it's just as well. But that's why sometimes I think I might go to hell.
With some of your Q&A videos and videos I see you do with Julia and stuff like that, you display a very quirky sense of humor, but your music doesn't reflect that at all. Your music is all usually very deep, mature, and sometimes very dark. So when you write the lyrics to your songs, do you go somewhere mentally? Like, do you have to go into a certain mindset?
Yeah, I have a sense of humor. In real life, I'm pretty silly, but the things that move me the most to write are not silly, or I never like leave a really great party and I'm like, oh, that was awesome, I'm gonna write a song about it. It's like it's, I mean, some people can do that and it's great, but I tend to get inspired, or my brain tends to run away with more serious things and darker things, and I guess that's kind of just how my brain works, for better or for worse. So
You can really sense a lot of sincerity and honesty in the lyrics to your songs. Are there any songs on either of your CD or songs that are going to be on the new CD that are based off true events?
yeah, actually, just about everything I write is, and that doesn't mean that it's strictly autobiographical, but I I almost never pull something out of thin air. Some people are really good at that. Some people are great at fiction, and um, I I feel best about the things I'm writing, and I feel the most honest when I'm pulling from experiences, or sometimes you take a feeling you have and you tweak it, or you blow it up and turn it into something else. But there's always a seed in real life. I think I have one song called "The Pilot" that was 100% fictional, and I wrote that because I was self-conscious about writing about myself all the time, which I've not recently, but I've since gotten over. But that's my one foray into total bullshit fiction.
That's actually the song I was going to ask you about. Like, where the hell did that one come from?
Like I said, I was really self-conscious. I was like, all my songs are about me. I'm self-absorbed. This is horrible. Um, and I really, I'd been listening to a lot of like the Decemberists and lots of other artists who just make up these incredible stories. And I was just, I was feeling kind of inspired by it at the time, I guess. And it was kind of a fluke, just sort of happened. I'm not sure where the origin of it came from, but I don't really know.
Now, you joined up with Natalie Dawn to form My Terrible Friend. It seems like one of the most obvious match of musicians in the history of music, but what led up to that? Like, whose idea was that?
I met Jack and Natalie in the summer of '09 when they were in Rochester, where I'm from, producing an EP for Julia Nunes. There's just this whole big web of YouTube interconnectivity that gets confusing. But anyhow, they were in town, and I got to know them over the month that they were there, and I love the shit out of Natalie's voice, and I really wanted to find something to do with her before they left. So I wrote The Daylight here, and just kind of like banged it out, which I usually don't do. I just wrote it really fast and said, I really want you to sing on this. And then it ended up becoming more collaborative than I'd planned on. And I think we both had a lot of fun with it. And then, then I moved out here and it became convenient, and, we have fun with it mostly.
I'm sure the air is lighter on the seas, and every city settled far away from me. 'Cause now I'm negotiating with the fear something's wrong with the daylight here, and I can't fix it.
To help fund this upcoming album, you signed up on Pledge Music, and there was a list of, I don't want to call them prizes because they sound like something you'd find in a cereal box, but I guess incentives. And one of them was your old iPod, and there was a video you said you had to clear it off, you had to like reformat it, and you had to recreate playlists. So, what would I find on Lauren O'Connell's iPod?
Let's see, I'm trying to think of something interesting. I mean, I have like driving playlists that are like upbeat and fun, and I want to take a nap playlists. Lots of Bon Iver and things like that. So, I mean, I guess it's nothing too surprising is on there. I think I still have LFO on there from back in the day. And, some Hootie and the Blowfish, which rocked my world years ago. And I don't think there's anything else too crazy on there. I think it's mostly unembarrassing.
That kind of leads into another question I had written down, actually. If you had to pick a musical guilty pleasure, what would it be?
Let me see. I know there are some. Let me open up my iTunes real quick, see what I've been listening to recently. Um, I feel like no matter who I say is my guilty pleasure, it's kind of a backhanded compliment. Okay, this is not a non-compliment. I would say Josh Ritter, not because I don't think he's brilliant, but because I listen to him so much. He's always like what I go back to when I like am not into exploring something new. And I've heard all of his songs so many times that I sort of feel like I'm wasting my ears by like not finding new things to listen to, but I just always go back to him. So I guess that's the closest thing I have.
I'm always curious about this musicians, if they listen to the radio and what they think of it. What would you say is the worst pop song on the radio right now?
Oh boy. I don't really listen to the radio very much. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some songs I know. I mean, it's hard because I used to get really mad about how bad I thought the songs on the radio were. I was like, I can't believe people like this shit. But it's like, I don't know. I've tried to appreciate pop music more for what it is. I don't listen to it like, top 40 shit, but, it has its place in the world. The people like it. It's not like the people who are listening to Katy Perry are waiting for some grand enlightenment. It's not like, oh, you've never heard the Pixies. Well, that's something that's wrong with you. It's like, no, that's what people like, and that's okay. So, I mean, that said, we've all heard the mashup of TikTok and California Girls. I recently heard Raise Your Glass. I think that's a Pink song, which I think should also be thrown in there. So it does get frustrating to just be like, oh my God, these people are just like pulling things off of, there's just like a big quarry of like lyrics and melodies that these pop writers are all just pulling from. And it's just so obvious and uninventive. And so, it gets tiresome if I listen to it too much. Like Katy Perry songs, like I think are great. Like, if you're at a club or just want to hear something just like that I can dance to, I love when that's people's like music interests on Facebook. It's just like anything with a beat. But like I think that's great, but it's like it just kind of rubs me the wrong way when it's like so contrived, and then it's like also like pretending to have something genuine in it. It's like, let's be real about what this is, and the depth of message you should you can send here with this medium. I mean, we all know this was written by a collective of songwriters trying to make a hit. It wasn't from the bottom of someone's heart. So it's always kind of like, what are you doing? Like, all right. But I try not to get mad.
Do you listen to rap music at all?
I haven't. I'm actually kind of trying to get into it. I mean, I didn't grow up with it, and it's it's hard to kind of listen to something you're like a genre you're not highly familiar with and say, oh, this is good rap or bad rap. I'm trying to get into it though, because I mean, it's I was talking to my roommate Jack about it recently, and it's like the only like mainstream form of music where lyrics are really, really important, and the best rappers are so clever. They're so good, and it's like the vehicle for those lyrics are, again, unfamiliar territory. But I'm kind of trying to be a little more open-minded about it. Like, I don't know, there's just some really, really smart rap out there. Jack recently played me some Lil Wayne, which was, pretty intense in a good way. Yeah, no one I've listened to too much in particular. I have Tribe Called Quest is one that I've listened to in the past. They're pretty cool. Yeah. But I'm pretty ignorant in this field.
And maybe I'm not right between my ears. But crazy's just crazy, and also it makes me not an ounce less sincere. But I got a notion you're this way too. Oh, let's be together in a white padded room and make lovely machines of twisted up levers and gears. Da 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 da.
From your updates, you had said that you got a lot more pledges than you expected for this album. I really don't know how to phrase that as a question. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, I can confirm that fact. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty blown away by how interested people were. I mean, I just didn't expect people to want to be that involved, but it was awesome, obviously.
I'm curious about this shirt, about the design. Where did the idea of the Tree Arcade come from?
Tree Arcade. That is from let's see, somebody sent the design in, like, oh man, a while ago. Probably over a year ago, certainly. I just tweeted casually that I was looking for something, so I got a couple designs sent in. That one, I really like the attitude of it, and I just kind of, I can't tell you exactly why I connected with that design, but something about it was just, you know, yes, that is what I want my name under.
Another incentive you were offering were handwritten lyrics, and you had said that you would write down the lyrics of any songs really, but you pretty much meant lyrics to your own songs. Did you get any other crazy requests for lyrics other than songs of your own?
No, actually, they're all, nothing was too weird. I mean, a couple of people asked for "Oh Death," which I didn't write. It's, you know, a really, really old traditional folk song. But, you know, that wasn't particularly strange. I mean, everybody uses different combinations of verses and things like that. So, you know, it's not like they could have printed it out online. But yeah, everything was pretty straightforward, actually. I didn't get as many silly things as I expected.
That's no fun.
I know. Yeah.
I love how varied your list of incentives were. Like, for example, you were offering to Wilsonize people by drawing their faces on volleyballs.
Nobody went for that. Nobody went for that. Yeah, the really dumb ones that I was really excited to do, I think people were like, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to get something serious. But yeah.
Disappointing.
I know, right?
You can see this very air come and go all day. All day. Won't you spare me over till another year?
With nothing but love and respect to the audience of this channel, Reviewtopia is pretty much targeted toward nerd or geek culture. Would you consider yourself a nerd at all? And if so, what about?
I have a few nerdy traits. I used to play video games. I used to play video games when I was younger.
Any favorites?
Oh boy. I mean, in my PlayStation era, like I would challenge anyone to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I think I still know where the hidden tape is on every level. But yeah, I played that. I played some Halo. Not anymore. I have far more important things to do with my time, or at least I tell myself I do. But yeah. And I like memorizing things. It's kind of zen for me, because my job, which is music, which is fun and awesome and wonderful, is so creative and qualitative. It's kind of relaxing for me to just do something with straight data. So I've actually recently memorized the capital of every country and all of the US presidents in order. I do things like that. So I guess that's kind of nerdy, because it serves no purpose whatsoever, other than my own twisted personal gratification. So I think that counts.
Do you ever watch wrestling at all?
Do I ever watch wrestling? I never have. You know, when I was in elementary school, I used to play wrestling video games with, this is becoming the most embarrassing interview. I'm just exposing way too much. But yeah, I used to play wrestling video games. That's the most I know about wrestling.
Another question I had under the header of likes and dislikes. If there was a movie that you would say that people need to see, but it doesn't seem like anyone has ever heard of them or no one's seen them, just movies that you would recommend people go out and watch.
There aren't any movies I'm like nuts about where I'm like, what the fuck, you haven't seen this? But I recently saw Never Let Me Go, and most people I've talked to haven't seen that or haven't heard of it. It's not like super underground or anything, but I was surprised more people didn't see it or talk about it. I thought it was really excellent. And City Island was another good one that I saw recently that I'd never heard of until I saw it in Blockbuster. So yeah, nothing I am wildly impassioned about, but there are a couple good ones, little gems.
Learn this trick, hand me a noose, and I will cry to you an excuse. I'll deliver it direct to the tip of your tongue. In the place of I'm sorry. Let's not say it if nobody is.
I've always been curious about like an indie musician's take on this. Like ever since the Grammys, where fans of Arcade Fire were like personally offended that Arcade Fire won for Best Album, and it's almost like something of theirs was taken from them. Like the fan base is owed something. Like this musician is theirs, and they don't feel like they really want to share that musician with a large audience. Like, what is your take on that as a whole?
I get it. I understand why people feel that way. I mean, I like being able to have a close relationship with the people who support what I do. And you know, I mean, if I reached a point where it became like impossible for me to communicate with a large percentage of those people, you know, I would be frustrated. But people are sometimes just not very understanding of what it's like. So, sometimes I get comments that are like, "Oh, I love you. Never get famous. Never get bigger than you are now." And it's kind of like, well, I'm barely making a living right now. I mean, that's pretty backhanded to me. I mean, I don't know if people don't put a lot of thought into it, but I mean, I want people to hear my music. That's why I make music. I mean, I'm not making it for my health. I mean, it obviously means a lot to me personally. I'd be doing it anyway, but I don't want to be entirely obscure. And I don't think an artist should have to. You know, like a lot of bands get so much shit. I mean, like Arcade Fire, it's like, and Kings of Leon especially, they're an interesting one. But like Arcade Fire, it's like their music isn't any different than it was when they came out with Funeral. You know, I mean, they've evolved a little bit, but it's not like they're trying to appeal to the masses. And it's like, so more people are listening to them. Like, that's great. That's great for Arcade Fire. Like, they're still doing their own thing. I think it's kind of badass that they've blown up the way they have, and they're still, as far as I can tell, they're still the same band. They're just bigger. I think that's more power to them.
You had mentioned Kings of Leon. I'm not sure if you heard about the story about the whole rift between Kings of Leon and the creator of Glee.
I don't know too much about that. I think they said they didn't want to be on it and he was offended or something. Is that?
Well, essentially, the creator of Glee was personally offended that Kings of Leon didn't want their music on the show, saying that Kings of Leon obviously didn't care about children's arts because shows like Glee bring music to a young audience and inspire kids to join Glee clubs.
That's bullshit. I mean, I don't know. Oh man. Let me process this for a second. I wouldn't want to be on fucking Glee, man. Like, I don't know a lot of musicians who would. It's like, no one's ever, like, as an artist, you're never, I don't think, obligated to do anything like that. I mean, I think most artists reach a certain level and they find a way to use their success to help other people, and that's great. But like nobody's fucking obligated to go on Glee. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like not in line with their image. Granted, their image has changed a lot over the years, but it's not in line with, I'm sure, how they want to be perceived. And they've never claimed to be role models, so I don't think they have to be.
Do you have any songs written for this new album already?
Yeah, I have pretty much all of them written. Some of them are going to be the songs that are on my YouTube page that were written after my last album. So a lot of them are going to be studio versions of things people have heard already. And a few of them are going to be brand new. And, the studio versions, I'm going to... some of them are going to be... The arrangements will be familiar to people who've heard the songs before. And some of them I think I'm going to kind of start from scratch.
Are Jack Conte and Natalie Dawn of Pamplemousse producing this album for you?
I'm not sure what the producer conclusion is. I mean, I've started to feel like I don't need a producer. I just kind of want an engineer who's really involved. I mean, I've had this album in mind for so long. Like, I don't need someone to give me creative direction. I need help with execution. So I think I'd be, better off producing it myself and using the budget I have for as much studio time as possible and getting other great musicians in there. So I'm probably going to self-produce, essentially. I really want to get going here. Hopefully soon, but it's really hard to say just because I haven't nailed down where I want to do it and who I want to do it with. I mean, I want to get it done, but I don't want to rush it. I really want to do it right. So it'll take how long it takes. I just got to find the right people in the right place.
I can't thank Lauren enough for granting us that great interview. If you want to hear more of her music, check out her MySpace page, myspace.com/IrishLOC. You can see more of her music videos at youtube.com/LaurenOC12, or you can follow her on Twitter at twitter.com/PantherGo. And while you're at it, you can ask exactly what that URL means, cause I don't have the slightest clue.
My eyes, my dark, my ears, my ring. It helps to think we are made of the same thing.